It's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon here in Scottsdale, where Andy Green, former Diamondback coach, now Padres manager, brings his ball club in this afternoon to face Zack Greinke in Greinke's second spring training start. It's Arizona Diamondbacks baseball, the spring training version, here on Fox Sports Arizona. And good afternoon from Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks and the Padres here this afternoon. And Bob, we get our second spring training look at Zack Greinke.
And we're really looking forward to that. Any team that expects to contend in their division has to have that ace at the top of the rotation. The Diamondbacks have a legitimate ace in Zack Greinke. This guy put up the lowest ERA in 20 years in Major League Baseball that last year with that Dodger defense behind him. This year with the Diamondbacks' much better defense, he may even improve upon those numbers.
Greinke went 2 innings in his spring training debut last Friday against the A's. We expect he'll go a little longer here today against San Diego. What's on tap? Baseball. Diamondback spring training's on the air here on Fox Sports Arizona. Back after this. Fox Sports Arizona is presented in part by Sanderson Ford. The best play is at Sanderson Ford. Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money.
And welcome back. Beautiful Salt River Fields here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it is a picture-perfect day, a day to lather on the sunscreen. That is for sure. Cactus League action here for you on Fox Sports Arizona. Jody Jackson with you here on the field. And with the first week of spring training in the books, we head into the second week with plenty of competition heating up, especially in the middle infield. So look for that today for sure. Plenty of other great things coming your way on our broadcast, though. The great thing about spring games is all of the access that we can bring you. So throughout today's game, we'll bring you player interviews, including Robbie Ray, who has yet to give up a run in 2 spring training outings so far, pitched yesterday. And we'll also hear from Mike Butcher. He'll join Steve and Bob as they are in the booth here. The new pitching coach for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but a veteran of that position, longtime with the Angels and a longtime resident of the Valley. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll see who's in the lineup today against the Padres. And the first pitch, Zack Greinke, coming your way next.
Back spring training on Fox Sports Arizona is presented in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. By Tire Pros. For the best selection of Continental and General brand tires, visit one of our 22 locally owned locations. By Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Double Jack Burger today, only at Jack in the Box. And by your Valley Toyota dealers. Visit your local dealer or shop online. Toyota, let's go places. Well, you couldn't have picked a more perfect day for Diamondbacks baseball here at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. We're in Scottsdale. Steve Berthew, Bob Brentley, and Jody Jackson along the way. The Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres moments ago. Lineup cards were exchanged, and there is Andy Green, last year D-backs third base coach. Bob, this year his first season as the skipper in San Diego.
And as you might expect, Andy Green attacking his new job as the skipper of the Padres with the same enthusiasm and energy as he did as the third base coach here in Arizona. Really seems to be enjoying himself in his first year.
He received rave reviews when he addressed his ball club for the first time at training camp in Peoria. And everybody in San Diego excited about Andy Green. Here's his lineup this afternoon.
John Jay, the former St. Louis Cardinals, will lead it off out in left field, followed by Jose Perella in right field. Will Myers, the first baseman. Matt Kemp will be serving as the designated hitter this afternoon. Melvin Upton Jr. out in center field with Alexi Ramirez over from the White Sox. He'll be playing short. Jamal Weeks at second base. Christian Bethencourt, the catcher, and Alexi Amarista. What do we used to call him? The Kung Fu Ninja?
The Little Ninja.
Little Ninja,
Kung
yeah.
Fu Ninja works too.
That works too. He'll be at third base for the Padres today.
And on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Second start this spring for Zach Greinke. He zacked the Diamondback, and he looked as you'd expect in his D-backs debut here Friday against Oakland. Greinke worked 2 innings, gave up only 1 hit, had a couple of strikeouts, 25 pitches in his first start. He faced the minimum 6 batters, and we expect he'll see him expand that to workload just a bit here this afternoon.
Yeah, probably at least 3 innings of work if the pitch count is reasonable. Maybe even try to squeeze an extra inning out of Zach today. He likes the opponent he's facing, even if it is a Cactus League game. He has absolutely owned the Padres over the course of his career. Since 2011, his ERA is just a tick over 1.5 in 12 starts against the San Diego Padres.
Take a look at the Diamondbacks defensively around Zach Greinke. It's our Eye on Defense, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers. Gene Segura was originally in the starting lineup, but a late scratch. He's got a minor knee issue.
As for running the bases as often as he has already this spring, we're going to see Jason Bourgeois in left, Socrates Brito in center, Gabriel Guerrero in right field, Jake Lamb, Chris Owens on the left side of the infield with Brandon Drury and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side. Wellington Castillo behind the plate today for the ace, right-hander Zach Greinke.
And on this beautiful day for baseball, Bob, your Valley Honda keys to the game.
The keys to the game, you know, you've got an ace. So let's say ace is high. Aces are brought in to avoid long losing streaks, and the Diamondbacks had a split squad yesterday. They lost 1 and tied 1, so this is considered a losing streak. And familiarize yourself with the Padres. We're going to see this team an awful lot this summer. Maybe not the guys in the lineup today, but start getting used to beating the Padres right here in the Cactus League.
And they do have some new faces in San Diego this year. Here is one of them, the Federalist John Jay. 6 seasons in St. Louis, now in San Diego. And he'll lead it off for Andy Green against Zach Greinke. That's upstairs. It's ball 1 to Jay with 4 hits this spring, including a pair of doubles. An injury plagued here in St. Louis last season, just .210 with 1 home run. That's in there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Last year, very uncharacteristic for John Jay, who in 6 seasons in St. Louis hit over 300 3 times. Right back to the mound. Greinke, the Gold Glover, has it. Quickly 1 down.
And already Zach Greinke doing what he does so well. Add and subtract to all of his pitches. He might throw one fastball at 89. The next one might be 93. The next one might be 95. Add and subtract. Just get the ball off the barrel of the bat. That time, a little extra on that fastball. Jam John Jay got the easy tapper back to the mound.
Former Yankee Jose Perella, acquired by the Padres last November for a minor leaguer. .230 in New York last year with 1 home run. Ball 1.
Another thing to watch with Zach Greinke is how consistent he is with his delivery. We hear pitchers talk all the time about finding some kind of a delivery that they can repeat over and over and over again. Zack Greinke is very consistent with his delivery.
Chops that one foul. Greinke said after Friday's start against the Gays that really he still has a ways to go before he can make quality pitches like he did last year on a regular basis. But Zach especially pleased with the way his changeup has progressed versus Oakland. The best it's been so far this spring, he said. This is a lazy fly ball out to Brito that's carrying a bit. Socrates has it just shy of the warning track. 2 down.
Pitchers will tell you in the Cactus League there is no such thing as a lazy fly ball. Everything hit in the air has an opportunity to sneak out of these ballparks out here in Arizona.
Well, here's a guy that the Padres will be counting on to be healthy this year. Their former outfielder, now the first baseman in San Diego. It's Will Myers. They traded Yonder Alonso to Oakland last year. Myers hitless in 8 at-bats this spring. Another injury-plagued season for him last year. Just 60 big league games. Most young hitters have problems when they have wrist injuries. Myers has injured both wrists so far in his young career. He's still just 25 years old. 21. On the ground to third. Jake Lamb is there. Ground ball out for Greinke. A 1-2-3 first for Zach. We are just underway. Diamondbacks and Padres in Scottsdale. Bottom first in Scottsdale. Padres and Diamondbacks. Chip Hale told us this morning he got the nickname Chip from his mother, who really enjoyed the show My Three Sons back in the day. So it's not Chip Douglas, it's Chip Hale in his lineup here this afternoon.
Yeah, we'll take that. And here's how he's going to line them up this afternoon. Chris Owings at shortstop leading off. Socrates Brito in center field batting second. Paul Goldschmidt in his customary 3 spot playing first base. Jake Lamb cleaning up at third base. Wellington Castillo doing the catching with Chris Herman designated hitter this afternoon. Brandon Drury at second base. Gabby Guerrero in right field and Jason Bourgeois in left.
On the mound for the Padres, 25-year-old right-hander Colin Ray. His first look at the big leagues last year. 2-2 in 6 starts, a 4.26 ERA. Chris Owings will lead it off for the Diamondbacks. Half the Diamondbacks played in Peoria against these Padres yesterday. Chip was telling us this morning the ground at Peoria is a little hard, so Gene Segura sort of tweaked his knee a little bit sliding on that hard ground. He was in the lineup this morning but scratched, so it's Owings leading off. The numbers on Colin Ray last year. They like this young man, one of their top pitching prospects. The numbers on CO last year, just under 230 with 4 homers. Ray's a big guy out there, 6'5", 220. This is bounced to second base. Jamal Weeks, Ricky's younger brother, has it. 1 up, 1 down. Take a look at the Padres around Colin Ray. Our Eye on Defense brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
See John Jay in left, Melvin Upton Jr. in center, Jose Perella in right field. It'll be Alexi Amarista at third base, Alexi Ramirez at shortstop, Jamal Weeks at second, Will Myers over at first, Christian Bethencourt doing the catching for right-hander Colin Ray.
Socrates Brito looks at strike 1. 6 hits and 9 at bats this spring, including a pair of doubles. He has played outstanding defense both in left and right field, and as always has created a lot of excitement on the bases. Weeks one more time at second from the outfield grass. 2 outs. Here's Goldie. And Goldie relatively quiet to this point in spring training. He's played in 4 games, 3 for 11 at the plate, all singles. See the numbers last year: 3rd in the National League in hitting, 2nd in the league in RBIs. Ball 1.
Remember what Goldie hit in spring training last year?
Never do. He never does much.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I think every year it seems we sort of have the question, will Goldie hit a spring training home run? He always seems to sneak one in there the last week or so. So what you're saying is, don't get too caught up in spring training numbers either way.
Especially not for Goldie. For some guys, it's very important that they come in here and put up some numbers and show what they're capable of doing to try to earn a spot on the team. But I think Goldie's spot is pretty well assured.
If it's not, we're missing something.
Yeah, we're really missing the boat.
2 balls and a strike.
I was talking to Tom Candiotti about it the other day, and Big Daddy Rick Russell used to come into spring training every year, first with the Pirates, later with the San Francisco Giants, and just absolutely get his brains beaten. His ERA would always be 17.37 or something by the time we broke Cactus League, but once the season started, he was the same old Rick Russell you expected. Just get your work in, get your arm strength up there, get your pitch count up there where it needs to be, and when the bell rings, he'll be ready to go.
Well, Goldie in mid-season form when it comes to taking walks. He gets the 2-out base on balls from Ray. We'll get a look at Jake Lamb. Jake had a homer yesterday against these Padres up in Peoria. He hit it off Corey Mazzoni. 263 last year, 6 home runs. Jake, 2 doubles and a homer through 4 games this spring, but he has struck out 7 times, the most on the team.
He's made a nice bounce back after the 4 strikeout game just a few days ago. Came back out, had a little extra work, got a couple base hits in the next ball game. Using more of the whole field. I think, you know, as we mentioned at the time, anytime you make a mechanical adjustment to your swing, and in this case dropping his hands down a little bit lower, you tend to think about those changes instead of just seeing the ball and react to what you see as a hitter. And I think hopefully he's over that bump now and doesn't really have to think about where his hands are anymore.
Notice, as Bob said, much lower and closer to his body in his batting stance. It's 1 and 2. Wanted to be quicker to the ball, keep that bat in the hitting zone longer, because Jake's swing tended to get a little long last year. He's a big guy up there at 6'3", 205. Away from Christian Bethencourt. Goldie's in at second. He almost threw it into center field. Bethencourt has for a long time been one of the better defensive catching prospects. He was in the Braves system forever. Now it's his first season in San Diego.
Ray pulls that one down and into the left-handed hitter. Bethencourt just got a little bit of leather on it, enough to slow it down. And of course, Goldie reading that pitch out of the zone as far as it was. Got a great jump at first and easily advances into scoring position with 2 out.
2-2 on Lamb. Right to Dave McKay.
Icy cold.
You can see the footprints there at first base. Dave McKay, as we've well documented in the past, likes to stand in exactly the same spot with a runner at first base, so he gets the same look at the pitcher, the same angle, and right there near the line of the coach's box, you can see the footprints of Dave McKay when a runner is at first base. And with so many games here at Salt River Fields every day over the course of spring training, with the Rockies sharing this field, I would imagine we'll see those footprints get more and more pronounced.
It's going to be like celebrities putting their hands in the cement in L.A. She did the same thing for Dave's feet. 2-2.
A huge tip of the cap to the grounds crew here at Salt River Fields, as well as over in Peoria. I know they had some issues with the hard field yesterday, but when you think about these fields that are shared by 2 franchises, they never get a day off. There's a ball game on this field every day, all spring long.
Dave Dunn and Marshall Jennings, their staff does a tremendous job here. He reaches down and rolls that to Weeks at second base, and Ray strands the 2-out walk. No score through 1 here in Scottsdale.
At Tire Pros,
At Salt River Fields as we head to the second inning. D-backs and Padres. Fans secure tickets now for D-backs opening day. Will be at Chase Field Monday, April 4. First pitch 6:40 against the Colorado Rockies. Zack Greinke will be on the mound, his regular season debut, and it's a game you don't want to miss. Visit dbacks.com and get your tickets now. Here's Matt Kemp, the DH today for Andy Green. He'll lead off the Padres second against Zack Greinke. Kemp begins his second season in San Diego following his trade from the Dodgers. 9 years in L.A. And there's strike 1. A good year last year for Kemp. 265, 100 RBIs. He was 4th in the National League in runs batted in. So far this spring, 3 for 9 with a double for Matt Kemp. Part of the season last year included the first cycle in Padres history. August 14th at Colorado. Over the mound, you see the shift is on right there. Brandon Drury, the second baseman, has it. And there's one down. Chip Hale told us this morning, Bob, that starting today, the Diamondbacks would start to put into effect their plan for defensive shifts that Matt Williams will run in conjunction with Dr. Ed Lewis and the Diamondbacks analytics department. We just saw it right there.
Might as well start getting used to it, get accustomed to which players you're going to overshift on and where that position is when you ultimately settle in, as Brandon Drury did that time, right up the middle of the field. Going to see a whole bunch of Matt Kemp this summer, especially facing Zach Greinke, so let's start to get used to the situations and where you're going to position yourself.
Strike one to Melvin Upton Jr., 2 for 11 this spring. He has struck out 4 times. His numbers last year after coming over from Atlanta. And Melvin Upton may actually salvage something here. He did start to turn things around a bit during the second half of last year. He hit nearly 280 after the All-Star break, so there is hope that maybe he's got something in the tank here at the age of 31. After 2 disastrous seasons with the Braves.
Seems like every time we see Melvin Upton Jr., there's something a little bit different about his approach at the plate. Sometimes he's up on the front toe. Other times he's got a flat foot. Sometimes he has a leg kick. Sometimes he's very still in that right-handed batter's box. It seems like he's constantly searching for that comfort zone.
Well, he's much more open than we've seen him in the past right there. And that very noticeable front foot tap seems to have mellowed a bit. Here's the 3-1 from Greinke. Carved out to right field. It drops in front of Gabriel Guerrero, and Upton has a 1-out single.
And of course, it's not unusual for guys to search for what works, especially when you're struggling the way Melvin Upton has the last couple of years. I mean, I think back to Cal Ripken Jr. It wasn't unusual for him to change his stance in the middle of an at-bat. If he felt like he needed to make some kind of a physical adjustment, he'd do it right in the middle of the at-bat. But Upton Jr. Has really been searching the last couple of years for that comfort zone.
Here is the Padres' new shortstop on a 1-year deal, former White Sox, Alexei Ramirez. His numbers in Chicago last year. He was there for 8 seasons. Ball one. And Alexei Ramirez 3 for 9 through his first 4 spring training games this year. As they continue what has been an ongoing search for a shortstop in San Diego. They've run through 18 of them since 2009. Melvin Upton just barely does get back in time.
That's something we haven't talked a lot about with Zach Greinke. We've focused so much on his pitching and throwing the ball and throwing strikes, but he does everything well out there on the mound. Quick move to first base, unloads the ball quickly to home plate to give his catcher a chance on potential base stealers. Swings the bat well. He can bunt.
Long set and throw over again. It's hard to find anything, including hit, that Zach Greinke does not do well. Another reason that Chip Hale has talked a lot about this spring, hitting the pitcher 8th much more often than he did last year. They have some good athletes up there that Chip thinks can swing the bat. This is inside. It's 2-0. So nothing fancy for Zach Greinke yet, he says. He's not out there pitching to game plans and sequences, not this early in the spring. His chief priority right now is getting a chance for Wellington Castillo back there to see his pitches and work on their rapport together. He wants Welly to really get a good look at his stuff this spring.
Not only to see Zach Greinke when things are going well and his pitches are moving and he's hitting his spots, but you also would be helpful at some point in spring to see Zach struggle a little bit. You know, what happens when he gets out of sync out there on the mound, and what can I do as a catcher to help get him back where he needs to be?
2-2. Castillo was talking about catching Greinke last week. He said, look, he's got a plan, he's got a purpose for every pitch. There's a why and a where on every pitch. And even if he misses a little bit, the next time, the next pitch is right where he wants it to be. 2-2 to Alexei Ramirez. There goes Upton. That one's knocked foul. Over by Glenn Hoffman coaching at third. Talk about a fixture. He was coaching third when Nate Colbert was playing in San Diego.
I think you're right. Yeah, he was coaching third when his younger brother Trevor was born.
Hey, win the pitch, huh?
22 pitches now for Zach. Still a 2-2 count. Is in the hole and into left, a base hit for Ramirez. Upton will stop at second. Well, we've seen Ricky Weeks with the Diamondbacks in camp this year. Now he is Ricky Weeks Jr. But here is his younger brother. Longtime Oakland Athletics. It's Jemile Weeks. Signed a minor league deal with the Padres in January.
It's been a good spring offensively for the entire Weeks family. Ricky hitting .417 going into play today. Jemile hitting .444.
4 for 9 with a double and a triple. Former first-round pick by the A's back in the 08 draft. Upton, the runner at second. Ramirez at first, 1 out. There's strike one. Jemile Weeks, over parts of 5 seasons in the big leagues, has played in fewer than 250 games. He's played with Oakland, Baltimore, Boston, now San Diego. He was the 12th overall pick back in that 08 draft out of Miami. Up the middle, Greinke knocks it down. They're able to contain the damage right there. Weeks aboard, and the Padres have the bases loaded.
Probably one of those soft liners. If he had it to do over again, Zach Greinke may have let that ball go up the middle. Looked like Chris Owings was going to get in position to possibly turn a double play. But Greinke's reaction was try to make the play. It tipped off the webbing of his glove and just trickled over there on the left side for an infield hit.
And 3 straight singles have loaded the bases with 1 out. Upton at third. Ramirez at second and Weeks at first. Here is the catcher, Christian Bethancourt, the former Atlanta Braves prospect. 4 hits this spring, including a home run. He's got 4 RBIs. Chops that one foul. This is a young guy in his age 24 season right now. Bethancourt, 8 years in the Braves organization, and has long been considered one of the top catching prospects in the game. An excellent defender back there, a very good throwing arm. But the Braves just kind of got tired of waiting for the bat to catch up to the glove, and now he's a Padre. And Bethancourt is out of minor league options, so he figures to open up the year in San Diego, backing up Derek Norris. One pitch. Well, you said you wanted to see Greinke struggle just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not like they've been banging him around here. A couple ground balls that snuck through the infield, and then that comebacker off the bat of Weeks that he was able to knock down to load up the bases. But 1 ground ball away from getting out of this. Bethancourt does a lot of things well behind the plate, but running from the plate is not one of them.
That's headed for the seats. Goldie will give it a look, but it's out of play.
Stay winning. Let's go. Get your mistake right here.
Greinke 25 pitches in 2 innings versus Oakland last Friday. He's already over that total here, about to throw number 30. Look out. Melvin Upton Jr.'s got the hops down there. It's a good thing.
I guess it's never too early to start hammering away at the fundamentals. That's why a base runner leads off in foul territory from third base. Had that ball happen to hit him in foul territory, it's just a foul ball for Bethancourt. If it hits him in fair territory, he's out.
Another 2-2 pitch. This one's got a chance to stay in. Yep, it'll stay in foul ground. Infield fly. Two outs. Here's longtime Padre Alexei Amarista. And with the way the Padres have turned over their roster under new GM A.J. Preller, there aren't too many longtime Padres left. And Amarista figures to be a super utility guy for Andy Green this year. 1 hit and 8 at-bats this spring. Bases full, 2 down. Guy very versatile defensively over the course of his career. He started games at shortstop, second base, third base, all 3 outfield spots. Brandon Drury and Zach Greinke leaves him loaded. Bottom 2 coming up, no score. Padres and D-backs.
Looking for the hottest full-size.
Fields, Jody Jackson. We'll be talking to some players throughout the spring broadcast, and today I'm with Robbie Ray, vying for a spot in that rotation. And Robbie, of course, you were in the rotation last year. So far, 5 innings in the spring. You've yet to give up a run. What do you feel is going well for you so far?
I think it's just fastball command, and my breaking stuff has been in the zone. Just been able to, keep everything pretty much around the zone the whole time. So I think that's the key to it.
Last year, I know the big word was efficiency, getting the pitch count lower, going deeper into games. And I know you've said it's just maybe not trying to go for the strikeout all the time. That's a fine line, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you get 0-2, 1-2, it's okay to go ahead and put the guy away. And but if you don't get the strikeout, when you come back and get that ground ball.
What did you learn from the experience of being in the rotation here with the Diamondbacks last year?
I just learned that, that I can pitch at this level. I was able to hold my own, and obviously I had some things I need to work on, like you said, pitch efficiency, but I still believe that I can hold my own.
And there's a lot of very, very good ball players in the front office and on this coaching staff, and Randy Johnson has taken a liking to you. I know you're not 6'10", but there are some similarities, hard-throwing lefty. What has his mentorship meant to you? What kind of advice has he given you?
It's mostly a lot of the middle side of the baseball. Just mentality, just having a relentlessness about you, going out there like every pitch is your last. I think that's the main thing that stuck with me is, if I throw every pitch like it's my last pitch, I'm going to give my full effort and be full conviction with every pitch.
This rotation with the acquisition of Greinke and Miller in the offseason, is there pressure because you were in the rotation last year to hold that spot, or do you feel more comfortable because you've had that experience?
I definitely feel comfortable. Getting that experience last year was huge for me, gaining confidence. So I definitely feel good where I'm at right now.
with Zach, what have you even learned from him? A little bit of that mentality out there on the mound.
Yeah, I mean, he's very consistent on the mound. Pitch efficiency, he's all around the zone with everything. So that's the thing that I've kind of taken away from him is he just attacks guys, and he's relentless with every pitch.
Tinkering with anything pitch-wise, this is the time, right? Spring, it's all about tinkering.
Yeah, I mean, mostly just fine-tuning some stuff, working on my changeup. That's a pitch for me that last year kind of took a back shelf to my slider, so I'm just trying to get that back and working, and it's been going really well.
Finally, just wanted to say congrats. First time we've had a chance to talk to you on TV. You had a child in the offseason. Congratulations. How's that going?
That's awesome. I love it. He's a great kid. He's not sleeping a whole lot through the night, but he's awesome. I get home, he recognizes my voice now, so he hears me coming, and he's always got a smile on his face, so it's great.
It's fantastic. Robbie, thank you for the time. We appreciate it. Best of luck this spring.
Thank you.
Guys, we'll send it up to you.
Thanks, Jody. Wellington Castillo grounded out. Now here's the DH, Chris Herman. Tell you, Bob, if Robbie Ray can get that changeup and slider for strikes like we've seen him do so far in 2 spring starts, that will be a real game changer for him because he's getting swings and misses with those pitches.
Well, we know he has the velocity on the fastball, able to get up into the upper 90s as Herman bangs one into right field for a 1-out base hit. And we know Robbie can get it up there, if he has to reach back and put a little extra on the fastball. He's had that. But as you heard him tell Jody, fastball command has been a high priority, and the ability to mix in those secondary pitches should just really round him out as a major league pitcher.
Well, Brandon Drury, he's a hitter, and he's looked like one this spring. 6 hits in 14 at-bats, including a pair of doubles and a home run. He homered Monday in Peoria against the Mariners. And then yesterday afternoon here against the Angels. It was Brandon's 2nd straight 2-hit game. He had a double. And he has looked very good. Brandon, he told us, spent part of the winter, as he always does, hitting with Troy Tulowitzki. He went out there to Vegas at Camp Tulo, and he said the two of them, just the two of them, hit for about 4 or 5 hours a day, every day for 2 weeks. And so he is known around here as Drew Lewitzki. Or Drulo. Hard to short. Ramirez knocks it down. Weeks, can he turn it? Yep, they roll it. And Colin Ray gets a double play ball to get out of the inning. Alexei Ramirez, longtime White Sox shortstop, now in San Diego, starts the double play. No score as we head to the 3rd. Out here on a gorgeous sunny afternoon in Scottsdale. Diamondbacks and Padres no score. And fans, when the D-backs win, you win. at Papa John's. The day after every D-backs win, you'll get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Just enter promo code DBACS50 at papajohns.com. Zach Greinke back out there for his third inning of work. And John Jay leads off the Padre third. Jay tapped back to the mound his first time up. Tyler Wagner, the young right-hander the Diamondbacks got in the Aaron Hill deal from Milwaukee, has started throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Here's Tyler, big right-hander, sinker ball pitcher. So we'll see how long Greinke's leash goes here in the top of the third. Easy fly ball for Jason Bourgeois in left, one away.
Partner, just thinking about the fine line for a guy like Zach Greinke facing the Padres, a team that he's seen a lot in the past already. He's going to see a lot more of them in the future. A lot of pitchers would not necessarily dodge the Padres, but choose to pitch in a B game, not face a team that they're going to see a lot of during the regular season, just so they don't get too good of a look at you. But I don't think that's one of those things that really bothers Zach very much.
I know that was Kurt Schilling was big on that, wasn't he?
Schill didn't like to face National League teams in spring training. If we could avoid it, he would rather pitch a B game in the morning or stick around and throw later in the afternoon, as that one's grounded up the middle for a base hit.
Jose Pirela, the fourth hit for San Diego, all singles. I mean, you play each other in this division 19 times, and Greinke's obviously pitched in this division the last 3.
I mean, I suppose there are things that the opposing team could learn about you, but the other side of that coin is there are things you can learn about them as well and use against them during the regular season. So I guess it's just a matter of personal preference, whether you want to see more of a team that you're going to face during the regular season or you'd rather skip them completely.
Will Myers grounded to third his first time up. Like he broke his bat. Owings at short for 1 and 2. Nice play by CO and a quick third for Zach Greinke. Bottom third coming up, no score. Innings so far in his second spring start for Zach Greinke. 4 hits, all singles, no walks, no strikeouts. Tyler Wagner continues to throw in the Diamondback bullpen. So we'll see what happens in the fourth. There's Wagner. As Gabriel Guerrero leads off the Diamondback third against Colin Ray. And this is a guy that's opened a lot of eyes. Vladimir Guerrero's nephew. And that was a very Vlad-like swing right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, very similar to his uncle. He was quite the free swinger. No batting gloves today for Gabby Guerrero.
He's kind of gone on and off with the gloves. There's another Vlad swing. And he's down 0-2. Take a look. Don't get
cheating. Let it fly.
That's a Montreal Expo hat right there. But Gabriel has attracted a lot of attention. 3 for 13, a 3-run homer here Friday against Oakland. 3 hacks, 3 misses. First strikeout for Colin Ray. Jason Bourgeois, the left fielder this afternoon, trying to win a 4th outfield spot here with the Diamondbacks. 2 hits and 13 at-bats, a double and an RBI. Bourgeois the last 2 seasons with the Cincinnati Reds. Now, we've talked a lot about the Diamondbacks' pants, a lot of people have, but how about this high sock look for Jason Bourgeois with the high stripes on those bad boys? There's a little dribbler to Myers at first. Ray is over there, and Bourgeois beats it out. A single for Jason Bourgeois. First base still relatively new for Will Myers.
One of those tweeners right there. Myers probably would have been better served to try to scoop and get to the bag himself ahead of Jason Bourgeois, but elected to shovel on to Ray, and is not in time to get a hustling Jason Bourgeois.
Still runs well. So a 1-out base runner now for Chris Owings, who grounded out his first time up. CO getting the start at shortstop today.
To be honest with you, partner, I didn't know what color the socks were underneath the pants until we saw Jason Bourgeois.
Wasn't sure they even had socks.
Yeah, really.
It's comforting to know that that's what they look like. Those high stripes. I still think that the bloody sock pants, speaking of Curt Schilling, that they're wearing today, from up here anyway, it does make the Diamondback players look like they're wearing stirrup socks. If you can talk yourself into that after a few innings. Owings down 0-2. Colin Ray's first Cactus League appearance was last Friday against the Royals in Peoria. 2 innings, just 2 hits allowed, a walk, a couple of strikeouts. He threw 41 pitches in that hour. One of the top prospects in the Padres system, who did a nice job moving up the charts last year. AA San Antonio. AAA El Paso finished the year in the big leagues. This is pretty good. Colin Ray, a dozen starts in San Antonio at AA last year. A 1.08 ERA.
That'll work in any league.
Yeah. Oh, 0-2 on Chris Owings. Bourgeois holds it first. CO bounces it to third. Amarista dives and smothers it. They get the force at second, and that's it. Bourgeois made that close, though.
No way the Padres were going to be able to turn 2 once Amarista leaves his feet, but there's some question, at least in the minds of the fans here at Salt River Fields, as to whether that throw to second did beat Bourgeois. He was called out. We're not sure exactly who the second base umpire is right now. As is traditional in spring training, the home plate umpire is the only guy who holds his position. That looks like Dana DeMuth out there at second base. The other 3 umpires rotate from first to second to third, back and forth.
Socrates Brito swings at the first pitch and fouls it back here. Brito grounded to second in his first at bat today, so he's 6 for 10 this spring.
It's been my experience in Cactus League games that if there's any doubt in the mind of the umpire,
it's out.
Error on the part of moving the game along.
1-1. Socrates, 3 hits here last night against the Angels. And he was asked, or Chip Hale, I should say, was asked about the left field job before the game today. And talking about Brito, Chip said there is absolutely a competition, and he is absolutely in it. He has looked very good. And as Manny Tomas, who had 3 hits in a B game the other day, Has not played since after tweaking a knee a little bit. So Brito has been in there. And he has taken advantage of his opportunity. He looks really, really good since Chip Hale.
I think he's a little bit of a different dimension. Obviously, Yasmani Tomas brings his own strengths to the team, but Socrates Brito, much better speed, much better defender in the outfield, whether it's on the corners or in center field. You can use in a variety of different ways late in the ball game if he doesn't start. Interesting to see this competition as we move into the middle of the Cactus League.
It has developed into exactly that. There's a little flare out to Jay. And he's got it near the line. And we are through 3. No score, the Diamondbacks and Padres on Fox Sports Arizona. Fourth inning at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. Zach Greinke's day is done. 4 hits in 3 innings of work, all singles. He threw 38 pitches. And the new pitcher for the D-backs is the 25-year-old right-hander. It's Tyler Wagner, one of the top pitching prospects in the Milwaukee Brewers system, acquired by the D-backs in January as part of the Gene Segura deal. And for more on Tyler Wagner, let's go to Jody.
Steve, Tyler Wagner led the Southern League in ERA, 2.25 ERA. And even though he didn't know a lot of his teammates well, he knew them as hitters. He said he faced Drury and Gabby Guerrero and Socrates Brito in the Southern League. He said this is what he's working on this spring. The sinker, that's primarily his pitch, but he's more mechanically correct, he feels, this year than he has been in the past. More over top of the ball rather than on the side of it. He's also developed a cutter, which he used last year in the last month of the season. 3 starts last year with the Brewers. Not as much success, of course, as the Southern League. His ERA there was 7.24. Guys?
Yeah, he made his major league debut, coincidentally, not ironically, against the Diamondbacks at Miller Park and got knocked around a bit. Matt Kemp leads off the Padre 4th. He grounded out his first time up. And Zach Greinke, after 3 innings of work on the mound here, has changed mounds. He's getting some extra throwing in, Bob, the bullpen.
Yeah, just get a few more pitches in, stretch that arm out a little bit more. Had a very efficient outing today, even though he gave up 3 base hits in that second inning. No damage done, and wants to get a little extra work in the bullpen before he calls it a day.
Easy grounder to Jake Lamb at 3rd, and Kemp is retired. That's what Tyler Wagner does well when he's on his game. He is a sinker ball pitcher. And as Chip Hale said, guess what? We like that here.
Yes, we do.
So he's going to be a nice addition, they think. He's only 25.
And it's a funny contrast. You heard Jody talking about staying on top of the ball more. A sinker ball pitcher, when his arm drops down, the ball tends to flatten out. The higher his arm is and the more his hand is directly behind the baseball, the more downward movement he gets on the sinker as opposed to that lateral movement. And any sinker ball pitcher will tell you they would much prefer that sharp downward action as that ball gets into the hitting zone.
Melvin Upton Jr. singled his first time up. There's a strike. Tyler Wagner has developed a reputation as a strike thrower. He is generally around the plate. Good location, good command. Not a hard thrower, low 90s. He will get in trouble when he leaves it up in the zone. Upton went down and got that one. Bourgeois, it's over his head. He can't make the play in left center. And Upton is in at second. And it's a double for Melvin Upton Jr. He's 2 for 2.
Yeah, tough sun field out there in left here at Salt River Fields, especially early in the ball game. You see, it looked like Bourgeois might have gotten leather on that ball as he was ranging far to his left. That's what he's looking back up into, the afternoon sun here. Very tough for those guys on the left side of the infield at this time of the day, especially on a humpback line drive like that off the bat of Melvin Upton Jr.
He's at second with one out for Alexei Ramirez, who singled in the second inning. He takes off for third. The throw from Castillo is not in time, but it's a stolen base for Melvin Upton.
Jr. takes advantage of Wagner not paying a lot of attention to him back there. Alexei Ramirez, a dead pull hitter at the plate, so third baseman Jake Lamb was playing very deep down there at third base. A little slow getting to the bag. An easy steal for Melvin Upton Jr.
Infield comes in. 1-0 pitch is grounded through the hole right between Lamb and Owings. Upton jogs home, and it's 1-0 Padres.
That steal of third by Upton Jr. something to file away for later on this season. Just keep it in the back of your mind. Remember that he did it in a spring training game. He might possibly do it in a regular season game.
So Ramirez 2 for 2 with an RBI. Here's Jamal Weeks. Mike Butcher, the Diamondback new pitching coach, on the left. Chip Hale, the skipper, on the right.
Chip probably making a note about that very thing. I mean, you know, if Melvin Upton Jr. doesn't steal third base, the infield's playing back on that particular play. It probably turns into an easy ground ball out to the left side. But because the infielders were drawn in with the runner at third base, just snuck through into left field for an RBI base hit.
As you all have often said with sinker ball pitchers like Tyler Wagner, sometimes they're going to sneak through.
The curse of the sinker ball pitcher. You get the desired result, you get the ball on the ground. Unfortunately, it finds a hole.
One thing to like about Tyler Wagner, just in watching him work out here, throw bullpens, take PFPs, he's a big dude out there, 6'3", 202. But he moves around really well. He started his collegiate career at Utah as a shortstop. And so he's a very good athlete out there for a big guy. And there goes Ramirez. They got him hung up.
Got out of it in Chicago.
Well, put that in your book.
There you go.
I kind of like how he just stood still there for a while. And this goes down as a caught stealing for Alexei Ramirez.
Well, a deer in the headlights. Tried to anticipate the delivery to home plate, as we've seen Paul Goldschmidt do from time to time, but he guessed wrong. Broke too soon. Tyler Wagner did exactly the right thing on the prompting from his bench. Step off and initiate that run down. Ends up in and out at first base.
So base is empty, 2 down now. Tyler Wagner's from Las Vegas. He pitched at the University of Utah. Brewers got him with a 4th-round pick in the 2012 draft, acquired by the Diamondbacks in January, part of the trade that sent Aaron Hill and Chase Anderson to Milwaukee. Another good example, Bob, I think, of the Diamondback front office bringing young talent into the system. Remember, they had Chase Anderson. Chase was a big part of this team the last few years, but they make a move and they bring this guy in. He's just turned 25 in January. A very good well thought of young starting pitcher. 3-0 now.
Not to mention the money that moved the right direction to free up the Diamondbacks and pursue free agents like Zach Greinke.
Well, they used the money they saved on Aaron Hill to go out and sign Tyler Clippard, so you have to consider that as well. They don't make that Aaron Hill deal, the move part of Aaron's $12 million contract. They don't have Tyler Clippard back there in their bullpen. 3-1 pitch. They walked him. First walk issued by D-backs pitchers today brings up Christian Bethancourt. Weeks aboard for the second time.
And another potential base stealer. Wagner will have to keep an eye on him over there. Make sure he doesn't try to do what Alexi Ramirez did, just take off in the middle of the delivery.
Weeks has good speed down there. Glenn Hoffman coaching at third.
Hey, muñeca suave, let's go.
0-1 on Bethancourt. Now, let me ask you this. When you were managing, did you hang out with the coaches on the field there in the chairs away from the dugout, as everyone seems to do in the spring?
Until it got too hot, yeah.
Now, what is the purpose of this setup? Because it seems like every team does it.
I always wondered myself when I was a player, but I think the reason is that you can talk freely about players without them hearing you. If you're in the dugout, they might overhear something and might hurt some feelings.
Better safe than sorry. Padres get a run. They lead it 1-0. The Diamondbacks 1-0 set for the home half of the fourth here. Our Nissan high excitement player today, Zach Greinke.
It's exciting to watch this guy take the mound, much more so this year than it was last year. Zach Greinke, very consistent with his mechanics, very consistent with his approach against opposing hitters. He's going to love seeing that defense behind him this year.
So Zach Greinke, 3 innings of work, 4 hits, all singles. He threw 38 pitches, so let's find out how he did. We got Mike Butcher on headset down there, the new pitching coach. Got to get him on right, first of all. Is that a better fit, Mike?
It's a little bit bigger.
There you go. Excuse me, better. How did Greinke look today to you?
I thought he looked really good. You know, he got his work in. He threw 3 innings, 38 pitches. Did a nice job. Got in on some guys, some right-handed hitters. Got some weak contact right there. Threw some really good change-ups. I thought he did a nice job today.
Hey, Mike, we saw Zach go down to the bullpen after his outing and throw a few more pitches down there. Was that to work on something specifically or just get his pitch count up a little bit?
Just get his pitch count up a little bit and really kind of a little bit more work on his slider as well. Just get a little bit more tilt on it. He was a little bit more side to side today than he wanted to be.
New pitcher for the Padres, the veteran Nick Vincent, as Goldie leads off the Diamondback fourth. Mike, how much thought goes into getting Zach Greinke and Wellington Castillo working together throughout spring training?
Oh, there's a lot of thought. They've worked well together in the bullpens. They're taking it on the field. There's been a lot of prep as far as talking goes and the communication and building that communication up and trust. So there's a lot that goes into it than just going out there and flipping a coin. They're definitely on the same page. There was a good game plan today, and they went out there and executed for the most part.
Goldie rolls one to Ramirez at shortstop, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the fourth. What's it like to handle a guy, Mike, like Zach, who is so analytical? And, I mean, he really, really is a student of the game, isn't he? Does that make your job tougher, easier? What are those conversations like?
I think it's just great dialogue. I had him a little bit in Anaheim and got to know what he was all about, what he looks for, and what he likes. I think it's a bonus to have a guy like that, not only for myself, but for the rest of the pitchers on our staff, just to get a different perspective with the analytical part of the game. And when you got a guy out there that can command the ball like he does, it's impressive, and he can kind of pick apart a plan like that. So I think it's a bonus to have a guy like that on our staff.
Mike, now I'm sure you have a couple guys on your staff that maybe aren't quite as analytical as Zach Greinke. Do you change your style as a pitching coach, to work with a guy who, the derogatory term, he's just a flinger. He just goes out there and throws the ball. We don't want him to think too much. Does that change the things you do and how you work with a pitcher?
Well, what I like to do is just I look at everybody as an individual, and I call it digestible information. If they can handle the information, then I'll give it to them. If it's too much information, we kind of peel it back a little bit and let them go out there and do the things that they're capable of doing, which is really pitching to their strengths and not trying to do too much with the ball and get too deep into it. So if they know their strengths out there on the mound, I think their plan kind of evolves to itself when they're out there in the game.
0-2 on Jake Lamb. The grounder to Weeks at second. Mike, you got a lot of responsibility here, and it's not just Zach Greinke. Obviously, Shelby Miller, Patrick Corbin on down the list. How has the staff, in your mind, evolved over the course of spring training so far?
I really like the way they're shaping it up. These guys, they put in a lot of work. We're doing all of our PFBs and just working together with the catchers. I think their bullpens have been good. I think they're taking the plans into the game. It's all about execution, getting that fastball command down early in our early games, and then working the breaking ball in there for strikes and getting a good feel for a changeup. But so far, I think it's been working out really well. I like the way the guys have meshed together. I think there's a good unity here. There's a plan, and there's a good vibe going on in this camp. It's real exciting.
Now, here's an important point. Where can we go to eat around here after a game? Do you know a place?
Obviously, I got to push the food away from the table a little bit. But, my in-laws own Rustler's Roost and enchiladas at the point at Squaw Peak or Payashua Peak. So there's good Mexican food right there, and there's a really good steakhouse. We call it Cowboy Chow at Rustler's Roost. It's a great view of the city. They got a little bit of rattlesnake eye on the plate too, but it's really good food. It's on the grill. Can't go wrong either place.
So you're new to the Diamondbacks, but you're certainly not new to the Valley.
I love it out here. It's just I love living here. My wife's from here. I have 3 kids, and it's just my in-laws are out here. I just absolutely love it.
Maybe you can bring some rattlesnake into the clubhouse.
We can do that. As long as it's hot, it'll be good. It tastes like chicken.
Cooked.
Everything does,
cooked,
right?
Not live, cooked.
It'll be cooked. Give me a little salt and pepper on it. It'll be good to go.
Well, Mike, we appreciate your time. We know you got a lot to do down there, so we'll let you get back to it. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Butch.
Thank you.
The Diamondback pitching coach Mike Butcher has done a sensational job here so far. Boy, he's active, Bob. He just talks to everybody as Wellington Castillo flies out. And we are through 4 here. Diamondbacks trail the Padres 1-0. on Fox Sports Arizona is presented in part by Ram Trucks. Right now, get a great deal during Ram Truck Month. Fifth inning at Salt River Fields, a talking stick in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Steve Berthew, Bob Brennan, Jody Jackson along the way. Diamondbacks trail the Padres 1-0. As Alexi Amarista leads off the fifth against Tyler Wagner. What a day to be out here. Just perfect. Supposed to get great weather here, BB, over the next week or so.
What's new?
Got some big games coming in. The Royals are in here on Saturday. The defending World Series champs. Mariners on Monday. We'll have that Royals game for you on TV Saturday right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Strike one to Alexi Amarista. Amarista, Jay Perella, the scheduled hitters in the Padre fifth. Our second inning of work by Tyler Wagner to get a look at this young man acquired from Milwaukee in the offseason. And this is a guy that moved up pretty quickly through the Brewers minor league system after he was drafted 4 years ago. He won 10 games in A-ball. Pitched at high A 2 years ago, went 13-6 with a 1.86 ERA. And last year led Biloxi and the Southern League in ERA. He covers first, and Amarista's retired. So he's got a very good minor league track record, Tyler Wagner.
And really nice to see this inning start with a curveball. First pitch, breaking pitch from Tyler Wagner to jump ahead in the count to Amarista, then eventually comes back to that power sinker to get the ground ball. I mean, we mentioned it when Wagner came into the ballgame. That's his bread and butter pitch. That heavy sinking fastball. Try to put the ball on the ground, but you need to complement it with something else. Good to see him start that sequence with a curveball for a strike.
John Jay 0 for 2, a former Cardinal, now in left field for the Padres this year. I mentioned that Tyler Wagner is not necessarily a hard thrower. He's got that heavy sink. But I asked him about that breaking ball. He calls it a slurve. It's kind of a slurvy curveball that he'll throw for strikes, oftentimes early in the count, like we just saw there. And as Jody mentioned earlier, he's added a cut fastball to the mix as well.
Hi, Jay.
He worked almost exclusively as a starting pitcher in the Brewers system, but in college at Utah he was a shortstop as a freshman, and then when they moved him to the mound his sophomore year, he was the closer. Somebody asked him what happened. He said, I couldn't hit. I could field, I could throw, I just couldn't hit, so they made me the closer. And he wound up setting a school saves record for the Utes. But once the Brewers got him, they converted him back into a starting pitcher.
He's shown a couple of nice straight changeups in this sequence as well. You hear pitchers all around the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League talking about working on specific things in an outing, and usually one of those things is their secondary pitches, whether it be a straight changeup or a breaking ball. And you've seen Wagner mix in a curveball to start the first sequence of the inning. A couple of changeups in this sequence. Obviously working on those secondary pitches here today.
Three and two to John Jay. Look out. It hit Tyler in the glove. He's able to knock it down, and now we'll check on the young right-hander. Well, got him in the jersey, he says.
Well, sinker ball pitchers are usually pretty good defenders out there on the mound. That's just a case of instinct right there. Self-defense on the part of Tyler Wagner. But guys that are going to throw a lot of ground balls, especially pitches away from lefties, a lot of those ground balls are going to come right back to the mound. So if you're going to be a sinker ball pitcher at the major league level, you better be able to handle that leather and put yourself in good fielding position.
His old shortstop instincts from college kicked in there. 2 outs in the fifth. 3 in a row now retired by Wagner. And here's the right fielder, Jose Perella, who singled his last time up.
Okay.
Jose Perella, parts of 9 seasons in the Yankees organization. And only 44 big league games in pinstripes. There's strike one. Diamondback bullpen crowded but quiet right now, with Wagner at 26 pitches. That's the place to hang out during spring. There's no room for anybody. We've got 80 guys aside here.
You have to make a reservation to get in the shade.
Yeah. We got a little tent set up in there.
Well, you know Josh Colementer's in the shade holding court.
I was going to say he's probably teaching a physics lesson or something. Now, what do you have to do to get one of the seats in the tent? Because they got some room in the bullpen in there, in the seating area.
Usually that's based on seniority, or if there was a competition earlier in the day, like during pitchers fielding practice, you know, that one banged through into left field for a base hit. You have friendly competition among your teammates throughout the course of drills during a spring training day, just to kind of make things interesting, and that's probably reserved for the guys who did the best in some particular drill this morning.
Oh, look, Brad Ziegler's going back there, I think. Somebody's running the show out there. Will Myers now after Perella's single, so Perella 2 for 3. Myers has twice grounded out, once into a double play.
You know, Glenn Sherlock with his catchers, on the days they block balls in the dirt, they draw a circle in front of home plate. And if you can keep the ball in the circle, you score points, and eventually you can win the competition. But if you happen to finish last in that particular competition, you have to, well, I mean, it depends on a given day, but usually you have to serve coffee or the beverage of choice to the players at lunchtime.
Oh, yeah, there is Professor Colementer kicking back. He's tired from all those lessons. Want to know on Will Myers. Myers, another no batting glove guy. He's never worn them, really. This guy came up in the Royals system originally as a catcher. Then went to Tampa Bay. He started in San Diego as their center fielder, and now he's their first baseman. 2-0. And last year, Myers hitting about .290 in early May. And then they lost him for a month, left wrist tendonitis. Came back in June, could only play 3 games, and then they found a bone spur in there. Had it removed here in Scottsdale by Dr. Sheridan, and missed another 70 games. Wasn't back until September. He has just not been able to stay healthy. There's a bouncer to third for Jake Lamb. Throw on the run, little high. Goldie able to get the foot down. And Tyler Wagner strands the 2-out single. You're in Professor Colementer's tent. It's time to get moving. The Padres 1-0 as we go to the home half of the fifth here. Hey fans, customize your own ticket package with a D-backs mini plan. You can choose from opening day, big series like against the Cubs or the Yankees. You can pick bobblehead games. You can pick any combination you want. And you'll save over single game prices with a 6 or a 10 game mini plan. Buy them right now at dbacks.com. Home half of the fifth, 1-0 ball game on a beautiful day in Scottsdale. New pitcher for the Padres. It's the right-hander Johnny Helweg. We're about that time in the spring, Bob, where you start to see the starters go from 2 or 3 innings up to 4 or 5, maybe even 6 innings. So the regulars in there a little longer here as we head into the second week.
You guys get stretched out a little bit more. Start spring training maybe getting 1 at bat per game as a defensive player, maybe 3 or 4 innings defensively, but you gradually stretch them out until by the time we finish up the Cactus League action here, guys are ready to go 9 innings, whatever it takes to win a ball game.
Chris Herman, the DH, will lead off the fifth. He singled his first time up today. They're striking.
We tried one spring with the San Francisco Giants with the catcher specifically, rather than start a game and go 4 or 5 innings and then have the backup catcher come in and go 2 or 3 or 4 innings and then maybe have somebody come in and catch the last inning. To very early on in camp have the catcher that started the game go 9 innings, knowing full well you were going to have the next day, maybe the next 2 days off from the game itself, where you could work on some things in the batting cage or down in the bullpen, and then your turn would roll around in the game and you knew you were going to catch 9 innings. Personally, I kind of like that.
1-2 on Herman. Ryan Schimpf is the new third baseman for the Padres, replacing Alexi Amarista. That seems to be the only change. A late break there by Pirela. And Chris Herman 2 for 2, couple of singles.
Oh, singles going into right field. Good to see Chris Herman having it bat and not foul a ball off his front leg. It seemed like the first 4 at bats I saw him down here in spring training, every at bat he fouled at least 1 ball off that front foot. So good to see him eliminating that.
Yeah, catchers go through enough.
Yeah. It's tough enough behind the plate. You don't need to beat yourself up at the plate.
So the leadoff man aboard for Brandon Drury. Brandon getting the start at second base today. Hit into a double play his first time up. He's been swinging a hot bat. Homered Monday against the Mariners. 2 hits last night here against the Angels, including a double. Brandon has an RBI in 3 of his 5 Cactus League games so far. And he yanks that one out to left and gone. Brandon Drury, a 2-run homer, 2-1 Diamondbacks. He's having himself a spring. He certainly did last year.
That's a fast homer to left field that time. Middle of the plate fastball. Good quick swing. Produces that line drive. Never got very high off the ground, but easily sails out of here to straightaway left field.
His second home run in 3 games. Brandon Drury. And it's 2-1 Diamondbacks. Here's Gabriel Guerrero. That's upstairs. It's a ball and a strike to Guerrero, who struck out his first time up on 3 swings, just like Uncle Vlad. Guerrero acquired from Seattle in the Mark Trumbo deal and spent all of last season at Double-A, both in the Mariners and Diamondbacks system. It's just over 220 with 7 homers. Carved that one out to right. Pirela got a late break and he makes a diving grab. 1 down in the 5th.
Pretty nice recovery by Pirela that time. Took an awkward line to the ball. Had to really close ground quickly at the very end. Makes that diving catch, taking extra bases away from Guerrero.
Jason Bourgeois, a base hit his first time up.
We haven't seen a lot of shifting from the Padres today, something I think you will see a lot of during the regular season. Andy Green is a firm believer in exaggerated pull shifts when appropriate.
Andy handled all that last year in conjunction with Dr. Ed Lewis in the Diamondbacks analytics department. And Andy is very sabermetrically inclined, which is one of the things that made him an attractive candidate for the Padres, and their front office led by A.J. Preller in his second year as GM.
Well, you probably know better than I do, but I think the Padres are one of the teams that shifted less than almost any team in Major League Baseball last year.
Well, they went through Bud Black and Pat Murphy last year, so things were a little dysfunctional. But while Andy was here last year running the shifts, the Diamondbacks, according to Baseball Info Solutions, ranked 10th in the major leagues in shift frequency. It's a little dribbler that's going to stay fair, and Bourgeois aboard.
Unnecessary play by the Padres third baseman Schimpf right there. Just let that ball roll. You're not going to get Jason Bourgeois at first base on a swinging bunt down the third baseline. You might as well let it roll and hope it hits a clump of dirt and goes into foul territory.
Third Diamondbacks hit in this inning. Chris Owings now. And for more on what CO is working on this spring, here's Jody.
Well, guys, as you know, last year coming off the shoulder injury, Chris wasn't feeling totally healthy, was playing through it. Now the shoulder feels great. He said in working with Dave Magadan, they actually haven't even talked about mechanics. They just, the fact that he started earlier this year, he was able to start hitting in December, so he's feeling stronger. He said, look, it's unrealistic. My swing is not going to be the same as it was before the injury, but the big thing for him is to get there mentally, and he's talked to Peter Crone, the mental coach for the Diamondbacks, about that, just being more confident, kind of getting back to the hitter that he was before the injury, regardless of the mechanics of the swing.
Well, Chip Hale said last year that really it wasn't until September that Chris Owings told him he was finally feeling strong with that left shoulder. That's something that Dave Stewart, Bob, had told the Diamondbacks. He, look, I had the same thing with Matt Kemp because Stu used to be an agent and Matt Kemp was his client, and Kemp went through that very serious shoulder injury, and he told the Diamondbacks, look, it took Matt Kemp a full year before he was the same guy again, strength-wise, and there's no reason not to expect that Chris Owings would go through that same thing.
And you hope that physically, if he's at a good place right now, that he can really start to focus on pitch identification. Last year, so many times Chris swung at a couple pitches out of the zone to start a sequence, put himself in a really bad hole. Some of that may have been due to the injured shoulder, you know, trying to protect it, taking some awkward swings at pitches that he thought he could handle, but really needs to do a better job of pitch identification this year.
Bourgeois takes off. The throw from Bethancourt, who's got a gun, and Bourgeois beats it. The throw was just to the left field side of the bag, and room enough for Bourgeois to sneak in there for the stolen base.
Just that much, as you mentioned, the throw being a little bit on the shortstop side of the bag down there at second gave Bourgeois just enough room to get in ahead of the Alexi Ramirez tag.
So he's in scoring position. Still 1 out, 2 balls and a strike to Chris Owings. Up the middle and into center. Matt Williams will wave Bourgeois home. It's an RBI single for CO and a 3-1 Diamondback lead.
Productive stolen base for Jason Bourgeois, puts himself in scoring position for Chris Owings, who promptly bangs one back up the middle of the field for an RBI base hit. Nicely done. Infield hit, stolen base, and a base hit up the middle to produce a run.
That's Chris Owings' 4th hit this spring. 3-1 D-backs. Socrates Brito now 0 for 2. Brito 3 hits here last night against the Angels. And Chip Hale, in talking about Socrates Brito, said, I think the one thing, Bob, that any young player would like to hear their manager say about them. Chip said that there's not a day that goes by that Brito doesn't do something good. Because he's got so many tools, the way he runs and fields and throws and hits. It's something different every day, Chip says. And every day he finds a way to stand out.
So many different ways to affect the outcome of a ball game, whether it's defensively with your legs, running the bases with your legs. I mean, we not only seen him run the bases quickly, but he's a very astute base runner. Picks his spots well, knows when to take the extra base, when not to take chances.
Rolls away from Bethancourt, and Owings advances.
If you're a guy that has a collection of tools that show up on a daily basis in some way or another, it's pretty hard as a manager and a coaching staff not to notice a guy like that. Did you see what he did today?
Baseball America rates Socrates Brito as the best athlete in the D-backs system going into this year. And we have certainly seen that athleticism here this spring. 2 balls, no strikes. Owings at second. Popped up third base side. Schimpf in fair territory. It's drifting on him and it drops in. Owings had to hold. It's a base hit for Brito. He'll take it. He'll take them all in spring training.
Oh, absolutely. That is a drive to left right there. Schimpf really struggling with that afternoon sun. We talked about John Jay never really saw the ball out there in left field. He was wandering around behind the shortstop position. Tough duty that time, just into the ball game at third base.
So good speed on the bases for Goldie. Owings at second, Brito at first. Tell you what, when Andrew Green was hired as the manager of the Padres, and he was a surprise, he'd been a manager in Mobile. Managed a lot of the current Diamondback players when they were in the minor leagues, but 1 year as the D-backs third base coach, and bang, he's got a big league managing job. But Tony La Russa said this is a guy who was going to be a star. And I think we certainly saw that here last year. Goldie has walked and grounded out 0 for 1. 2 on, 1 out. A 3-run Diamondback fifth and threatening more right here. Two and 0. Goldie last year hit .340 with runners in scoring position. A career high, 9th best in the National League. There go the runners. Oh boy, did they get a jump. CO was halfway to third by the time the pitch was delivered. No chance for Bethancourt back there.
Well, who expects a double steal with Paul Goldschmidt at the plate in a 2-0 count? Element of surprise worked to perfection that time. Now Goldie with 2 runners in scoring position.
First base open, a 3-0 count. Jake Lamb on deck. They changed the count now to 2-1. Big cut at that one. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Very nice article written by Steve Gilbert for the MLB website dbacks.com, talking about Goldie as a kid. A couple of Diamondback teammates knew him as a youngster. Fly ball center field for Upton. Owings at third. And here comes CO. He will score. 4-1 Diamondbacks. The RBI for Goldie. Chris Herman, who's on the Diamondbacks this year, remembers growing up in the Houston area playing against Goldie on 8th grade travel teams, and he said Goldie back in those days was just kind of a little shrimpy kid, didn't play much. Well, things have changed. He was playing second base and batting 9th, Chris said, talking about a young Goldie.
I guess you can be a star in youth league in Houston, or you can be a star in the big leagues. Goldie chose to wait till he got to the big leagues.
He worked until he got there, that's for sure. Jake Lamb 0 for 2. He has twice grounded out. But that's a very good read. dbacks.com, the Steve Gilbert piece that is up there today. Interesting insights into Goldie, who really didn't get a growth spurt, I guess, until around sophomore year of high school. Didn't start for his high school team until he was a junior. Misses. 2 balls and no strikes. D-backs bullpen still quiet, so it looks like we'll get one more inning of Tyler Wagner. Socrates, Brito at second. 4 runs in the inning. 3-0. Bethancourt has got a tremendous throwing arm. He's always looking to show it off when he can. He's dangerous back there. .3-0 to Jake Lamb. Ball 4. And here's Wellington Castillo, the 9th Diamondback to hit in this inning. And Andy Green is going to make a move. So that's it for Johnny Helweg. Diamondbacks have scored 4, threatening more. Back after this. A 4-1 lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning over the Padres. Hey fans, plan ahead. Get the full 2016 collection of D-backs bobbleheads. The first of the series is A.J. Pollock, courtesy of Arizona Sports 98.7 FM. The second bobblehead is a Goldie bobble. That's July 2nd. Zach Greinke's bobblehead day, August 6th. And David Peralta on September 17th. Collect all 4 this year. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. Pitcher for the Padres, Lionel Campos, who pitched exactly 1 inning for San Diego last year. And he inherits something of a mess Socrates Brito is the runner at second. Jake Lamb being pinch run for at first. And with 2 outs, here's Wellington Castillo. The numbers on Campos at AAA El Paso last year. A 2.90 ERA in 38 appearances. Beef Wellington 0 for 2. He has grounded out and flat out. It's behind Bethancourt. Brito had to hold up. And everybody moves up. Wild pitch.
Good read right away by Socrates Brito at second base. This ball spiked in the dirt way out in front of home plate. Tough attempt that time for Bethancourt to block that ball. Labor running at first base got a little bit of a later break. Almost turned into a double steal attempt where you had runners at first and third and try to steal second base. Maybe the runner from third can make it home. The way that play developed, it almost turned into one of those.
Domingo Leyba pinch running for Jake Lamb. He's at second now. 1-0 to Wellington. There's the strike. 1-1. Castillo off to a very good start this spring. 5 hits in 12 at bats, all for extra bases. He's got 3 doubles and 2 home runs. He's already in beef mode. 1-2. Castillo homered last Wednesday in the Cactus League opener here against the Rockies. Homered and had a pair of doubles Monday. That was against Seattle up in Peoria. That was a 5 RBI game for him. One and 2. Out of play.
Good offensive start to the Cactus League for Wellington Castillo, and talking to his catching instructor Glenn Sherlock, who also serves as the bench coach for Chip Hale, he is really impressed with the way that Wellington has gone about his business this spring. Some new pitchers to learn about, as we've talked about with Zach Greinke and Shelby Miller, Tyler Clippard, and he has really just attacked the task of learning his new pitchers and what makes them tick. That's what you want from your starting catcher.
Wellington exactly 80 games with the Diamondbacks last year. Wound up having the best offensive season of his career. 17 homers, 50 RBIs.
He was really just kind of thrown into the fire after the trade. It wasn't like he had time to acclimate to his new teammates and get to know the new pitchers and what they throw, what the signs are. Hey, you're here, you're in the lineup, go get them.
He homered in his second game as a Diamondback. Drove in both runs in a 2-1 win over the Mets June 5th. 2-2 pitch. It's full.
Starting fresh in spring training. Full 6 weeks to learn your own pitching staff, what makes them tick. I'm sure he is much more comfortable this year than he was coming to the Diamondbacks initially last year.
He has found a home here. There's no question about that. 2 on, 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here it is. Check swing. He did not go, and the bases are loaded. So the Diamondbacks will bat around here, and Chris Herman, who led off this inning with a single, will bat now with 2 outs and the bases full. Brito is the runner at third. Domingo Leyba at second, and Beef Wellington at first. Chris Herman, 2 hits, both singles today. 3 for 10 to open the spring. Left-hand hitting catcher and utility man Chris Herman. He can play first base. He can play both corner outfield spots. They like the left-hand bat. They like the versatility. Acquired by the D-backs last November from the Twins from minor leaguer Daniel Polka. 1-1. Herman, over parts of the last 4 big league seasons in Minnesota, has hit just over $180 for his career. He hasn't played a whole lot at the big league level. And he's 28 years old. One and two. How important, Bob, do you think it is for the way this team is built to get some productive left-hand bats?
I think over the course of the long season, it's going to prove very important. Every team, especially if you think you can contend, if you think you have a team that's going to be in contention in your division, you have to have some balance.
That one kicks away from Bethancourt. It's on the on-deck circle. Brito scores. Everyone else moves up, and it's 5-1.
Ball game and decided he's going to test his own catcher, Christian Bethancourt, behind the plate. He's bounced a few balls way out in front of home plate with runners on base.
We saw David Ross of the Cubs have an inning like this over the weekend. 4 wild pitches in 1 inning with Rex Brothers out there for Chicago. So 5-1 Diamondbacks. Second and third, 2 outs and a 2-2 count on Chris Herman. A 5-run D-backs 5th. They batted around. Upton in center, shaded well over toward left center field. All kinds of room out there in right center for Chris Herman.
This is the closest thing we've seen to a shift so far defensively for the Padres, playing Herman to hit the ball the opposite way. They don't think he can pull that ball down the right field line.
They got him. But the Diamondbacks bat around. They get 5. Brandon Drury had the big hit in the inning. His second home run this week. We are through 5. Diamondbacks lead the Padres 5-1.
Day, April 4th at 5:30 on Fox Sports Arizona.
Headed to the top of the sixth, Diamondbacks with a 5-1 lead over the Padres in Cactus League action. Hey fans, it's not too late to become a D-backs season ticket holder for the 2016 season. Get tickets for all 81 home games or choose from a half, a series, or even a weekend plan. Season ticket holders enjoy the lowest price per ticket and get access to exclusive events and experiences. Become a season ticket holder now. Visit dbacks.com.
Third inning of work for right-hander Tyler Wagner. Now with a 5-1 lead as we open up the sixth inning with Matt Kemp. And we have an entire new lineup behind him. Castillo stays behind the plate, so the battery remains unchanged. Everyone else is new out there. We'll run down for you. Kemp 0 for 2. He is twice grounded out. New infield for the Diamondbacks. Rivero at first. Leyva at second, Reinheimer at short, Joaquin Arias, the former Giant, at third. Outfield left to right, O'Brien, Marzilli, Bornstein. Those changes are not all straight up, I'm sorry to say.
They should have to be.
It should be a rule.
If you switch more than 2 players in an inning, it has to be straight up.
1-2 on Matt Kemp.
Good swing, out, boy.
There's Joaquin Arias, the former Giant. He takes over at third for Jake Lamb. Got to get the shades on.
Oh, good old school flip downs.
They had to toss him in from the dugout, though, so that's a check mark against. In the air, short right field. Bornstein's out there. One away. Good day for Melvin Upton Jr. 2 for 2, a single, a double. He scored a run. Well, this guy looks like he might be ready to salvage something after just a complete disaster in Atlanta. 5 years, $72.25 million. He was there 2 seasons, hit .198 and struck out in more than 1/3 of his at-bats as a Brave, so they did not exactly get their money's worth. He started turning it around about midseason last year. Hit about .280 after the All-Star break. Looks like he's got an everyday job in center field here. They have Travis Jankowski. We saw him last year. They like a lot. Former first-round pick. But they're not ready to close the book just yet on Melvin Upton. Headed toward the Padre bullpen.
Nicely done. Great time of year to get baseballs at the old ballpark. Come out here, spring training. You know, guys are going from field to field, getting their hitting over here, taking some ground balls over there, heading over to the stadium for the game. Playing catch before the ball game, between innings. A lot of baseballs find their way into the stands here.
And the great thing is you can come early, watch the Diamondbacks work out from about 9:30 to 11:30 or so in the morning. And as you're out there roaming the facility here, as Wagner rings up Upton, beautiful pitch on the inner half right there. You can roam around from practice field to practice field and find all kinds of baseballs. And then walk over into the stadium and take in the game. First strikeout for Tyler Wagner. 2 down now. The shortstop, Alexi Ramirez. 2 hits, both singles. He's got an RBI. So Ramirez 5 for 11 through his first 5 spring training games after 8 years with the White Sox. Slow roller. Rivero at first. Wagner hustles over there. He moves well. And he works a nice easy 1-2-3-6. The shutdown inning. And don't forget, bring your glove for those baseballs. It's 5-1 D-backs.
Drury with his second home run of the spring here today against the Padres, giving the D-backs a 2-1 lead with that swing, and they have added on. It is 5-1 here. Jody Jackson back here in the dugout, well, alongside Brandon Drury. And Brandon, as I mentioned, second home run so far in the spring. It's just been a little over a week. How do you feel with the plate right now?
I feel good. It's early, but I'm just working on coming to the field, working every day, trying to get better, and just taking it one at bat at a time.
Saw you talking to assistant hitting coach Mark Grace just a little bit after you came back into the dugout. What were you asking him about?
We were just talking. We have a really good relationship. We're always talking hitting and talking baseball, so I don't really remember what we were talking about, but we were talking about hitting for sure.
I know one of the things that you did in the offseason, and you have the last few, is work with Troy Tulowitzki. What kind of hitting tips or what kind of, I guess imagine when you're in the cage with Troy Tulowitzki, you're getting some tips on hitting, right?
Yeah, for sure. We worked a lot on just some mechanical stuff and some mental stuff, and just we were working every day, just trying to get better, and I'm going to continue to keep doing that while I'm here.
The experience last year, coming up, making your major league debut. How much more equipped are you this spring? And you had a great spring last year, but to know what it takes to play in the majors every day.
Yeah, I think to just get up there and get your feet wet and play in big league stadiums and play in front of crowds like that, I think is huge. So to have that experience now is, I think, big for me going into the season. And, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to the season.
Yeah, for you, second base now, you've seen time at third and working more at second with the competition in the infield. What did you do this offseason to prepare for second base? You look a little leaner, trimmer?
Yeah, I lost like 15 pounds. I really took care of my diet and really worked hard to try to be lean and light on my feet. So I was just working every day, and I'm going to continue to keep doing that here.
You find yourself working all the time over there more because it's maybe not as natural as third for you? What's your regimen every day as far as where you take ground balls, things like that?
Yeah, I've been working at both. I think working both at third and at second. I'm not trying to do one too much more than the other. I just want to be really good at both.
What are your expectations for this season?
I just want to come to the field every day and be prepared and work hard and just let whatever's going to happen with my hard work.
Now, I asked you who you were living with this spring. Nick Ahmed, what's he like as a roommate?
Oh, he's awesome. He's kind of like my big brother. So I've been with him for a long time, and he's a good guy to look up to, and he's awesome.
Now, we know what he does defensively. Are there things that he can share, even though it's a different position, that he can help you with?
Yeah, I think if you just watch a guy like that, you're going to get better. Just watch how he works and how he prepares, and not only on the field but off the field. I think he's a guy that could teach you how to be fully prepared and be ready to go every day.
One more thing I wanted to ask you, you know, Chip Hale talked about shifting, and we know that the Diamondbacks did it pretty successfully last year, employed a lot of different shift packages. Today was the first day that he said you were going to do it this spring. So how much more accustomed are you to that? Andy Green handled that last year. He's on the other side now, and Matt Williams is taking over there. Has it been pretty seamless?
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, today was the first day we shifted. There's just a couple guys I was just playing over, nothing too crazy, but yeah, just it's the first day we've done that, and you know, it just takes a little time to get used to.
All right, Brandon, congrats on the home run today, and we'll see you down the line here this spring.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Brandon Drury, guys, back to you.
Thank you, Jody. Brandon Drury off to a sensational start. Zach Bornstein, a base hit, a one-out single. And here is big Peter O'Brien. Peter, a home run yesterday against these Padres in Peoria. He hit it off their starter, Brandon Maurer, in the second inning. And you see the power numbers playing for Phil Nevin at AAA Reno last year. This one up in the air. Perella's underneath it. 2 down. Interesting talking, Bob, to Brandon Drury. Good to sit down and talk to him for about an hour a couple of weeks ago. And we talked about everything he's been through. He had a sensational spring training last year. He had over 400 during spring training last year. But then he was in Mobile, he was in Reno, and he said one of the hardest things about playing in the minor leagues is eating and being smart about how you eat. It's hard to do that. It's all, you know, the bus rides and the fast food and all that. He came in, he said about 15, 20 pounds lighter, but he talked about how hard it is to eat smart as a minor leaguer. It's something we take for granted, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you think about, you know, because of economic reasons, the minor leaguers don't always stay at hotels that are located near all the restaurants in town. A lot of times they're out on an exit on a freeway, and there's some fast food joints and a gas station where you can get a microwave burrito, and that's not probably the best way to go about replenishing your body if you're trying to be a professional athlete. So for the minor league guys, it is very hard to maintain the conditioning that you get coming to a place like here in Arizona for spring training at Salt River Fields, and the guys get a good breakfast in the morning, very healthy. A meal after the game if they want a meal after the game. Once again, very healthy. A lot of choices around the valley to eat well, but yeah, when you're staying at exit 109 on the freeway and you know, there's a couple of fast food burger joints and a gas station, those are your choices after the ball game is over. So it's a real test of their discipline to try to stay on a good diet during the season.
Joaquin Arias. Yeah, these guys are trying to be smart about things. It's not, you know, a lot of them are young kids, but they're educated about training and nutrition, and they're trying to make the right choices, and it's not always easy when you're on a 12-hour bus ride to Shreveport. Right. Oh, boy. Christian Bethancourt is having a day he'd like to forget. That's 5 wild pitches for the Padres today.
There have been a couple of them Bethancourt really couldn't do much about. A couple pitches that hit way out in front of home plate, but there have been a couple that he could have gotten in better blocking position. Just tried to reach across and backhand that one. Climbed up his body, went all the way to the backstop that time.
And as we said, he's got a great reputation, or has had one, as a very good defensive catching prospect, but not a banner day today. Bornstein now at third, 2-0 for Arias. And that's in there for a strike.
I speak from experience. The worst thing about having a day like this as a catcher is, you know what he's going to be doing, if not this afternoon, for sure tomorrow morning, he's going to be blocking balls in the dirt.
Always fun.
You have a rough day behind the plate. You miss a couple balls that probably you should have stopped, and the catching instructor is going to grab you first thing in the morning tomorrow, take you out to a backfield, set up a pitching machine, and start firing 90-mile-an-hour sinkers in the dirt. Well, we'll fix that.
They have Austin Hedges, who they already had in their system. We saw him last year. Another outstanding defensive catching prospect. The bat may be catching up. He had a couple of home runs. But Bethancourt, over from Atlanta, is out of options. So he might be the guy behind Derek Norris. 2-2 on Joaquin Arias. Bornstein at third, 2 outs. Up the middle. Weeks behind the bag, can't make a play. Bornstein scores, and it's 6-1 D-backs.
trying to range up the middle there for the second baseman. Try to get his body in front of the ball rather than reach across and make a backhanded play. And extra step to try to get in front of that ball, put him in an awkward fielding position as it gets through into center field. Now you can almost predict your next day's work depending on what you do on the day before. If you're a pitcher and you don't get a bunt down in a Cactus League game, you can be sure that you're going to be bunting off the machine the next morning. If you're an outfielder and you lose a ball in the sun, you are going to be working on balls in the sun the next day.
Evan Marzilli slams one into right center field, and Arias is on the move. It rolls just shy of the wall out there. Matt Williams will wave him in, and it's an RBI triple for Evan Marzilli. Well, nice to see Evan have a bounce-back spring. He was plagued most of last season by a serious ankle injury. One of the exciting young players in the D-back system.
The ball was stung right there. Waist-high line drive through that right side of the infield. It just rolls all the way to the warning track out there in the gap in right center. There he is on his horse around second base. Matt Williams waving him all the way, and he'll score without a play.
And Andy Green will make another pitching change. 7-1 D-backs. We'll take a break from Salt River Field to Talking Stick. Here in the sixth, they lead the Padres 7-1. Coming up tonight, fans, as March to April continues, it's the Phoenix Suns hosting the New York Knicks. 6:30 right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Coyotes are on their road trip across Canada. They take on the Vancouver Canucks. 7:30. That's on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. And for the Plus channel listings, go to foxsportsarizona.com. So a busy day of sports here in the Valley. We'll have it all for you on Fox Sports Arizona and Fox Sports Arizona Plus. Carlos Rivero took over at first base for Goldie. Looks at ball one. New pitcher for the Padres is the right-hander Eric Yardley with that funky motion. A 2.97 ERA in 52 minor league appearances last year. Marzilli at third after the RBI triple. Still 2 outs.
I guess Yardley is probably a big Brad Ziegler fan.
If he's not, he should be.
Yeah, really, he ought to be studying Brad's delivery and his assortment of pitches and how he goes about getting out major league hitters. Very similar delivery. Sidearm, almost submarine. Ball tailing into the right-handed hitters.
This is what it looks like. And most of last season pitching in the Cal League at Lake Elsinore. It's a tough league to pitch in, but he survived. Two on to Rivero.
Boy.
Carlos Rivero. 4 hits in 7 spring training games, including 2 doubles. Diamondbacks have out hit the Padres 10-7. They lead at 7-1. Ring him up and sit him down. They strand Marzilli at third, but the Diamondbacks get 2 more. And through 6, they lead the Padres 7-1.
Left-hander Andrew Chafin enters the game. Diamondbacks with a 7-1 lead. Andrew, of course, solidified his position in the bullpen last season after debuting as a starting pitcher and really being a starter for most of his career. But, guys, here's the interesting part. And, Bob, I know you're really going to love this as well. Steve, you'll like it as well, too. I don't think you might go out and visit where Andrew Chafin lives. He's in his RV. In fact, it's a toy hauler because he has a small boat. But all the comforts at home for Andrew, who lived right next to Chase Field last year, downtown Phoenix. It just was not his thing. So he brought this RV out there. He's at a campground. In fact, actually, he's moved locations. We had a little campfire going out there, roasted some marshmallows. But he's just in his element, guys. And he said a campground by the river. Now, there was a dried-up river at that previous location. But, Bob, you might want to check it out because he does like to take that boat out. I don't know if both of you can fit in the boat. But he's definitely a lake guy, not an ocean guy. And I know you like that as well.
Absolutely. I need to be able to see shore and reach shore if necessary.
I'll be like Roy Scheider. I'll just sort of dog paddle to safety.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Exactly.
Well, that's good. I mean, Andrew Chafin's not the first guy to do that. I know going back to the days of the late, great Rod Beck used to stay...
Shooter.
Yeah, the Shooter used to live in a kind of an RV camper type of a thing during spring training sometimes. And, yeah, other guys have done it in the past.
If you go to FoxSportsArizona.com, you can see Jody got a tour of the camper. And Andrew said last year just got tired. These guys, young guys, they don't make a ton of money. Got tired of paying high rents downtown district, so he's living in a camper.
How about that?
He's got a boat that he's actually custom rigged the boat for bow hunting. I guess he stands up in the front of the boat and shoots a bow and arrow at some fish. And as Chafin rings up Weeks to open up the 7th. But he's got a good-sized bed in there, a kitchen, all the appliances you could need.
We saw him turn on the fireplace.
Somewhere out there is his house. One down in the 7th. Christian Bethancourt now. Well, what a year it was for Andrew last season. Just outstanding. One of the best rookie pitchers in baseball. 66 appearances after making the conversion from starter to reliever. 5-1 at 2.76 ERA. In fact, Andrew was second among all National League rookies with those 66 appearances. And he is essentially the left side of that D-backs bullpen. He is the lefty, and Chip Hale has said he wants to carry 12 pitchers, so having another lefty to complement Andrew Chafin is something that at this point Chip told us he considers more of a luxury, because he really will go with whoever that best pitcher may be, right or left-handed.
You know, you talked about Andrew Chafin starting in the minor leagues. It's hard to envision him as a starting pitcher. Now that we've seen him and we know the way he goes about his business, he's so aggressive. He wants the ball every day. Well, this guy would burn himself out in about 3 innings as a starting pitcher, but he has really found his niche in that bullpen.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago we saw his major league debut at Cleveland, right near where he grew up. Had all kinds of friends and family there. He made 3 starts that season. First round pick by the Diamondbacks 5 years ago out of Kent State, Andrew Chafin. And 75 of his 85 minor league appearances were as a starting pitcher. But he's an outdoor guy, so he took to his relief role last year like a duck to water, I guess. Ryan Schimpf, the new third baseman. Diamondbacks will be on the road tomorrow. They'll be in Tempe for a game tomorrow afternoon against the Angels. That's a 1:05 start. Shelby Miller makes his second start this spring against Andrew Heaney. Now, Friday and Saturday, 2 games against the Royals. Friday will be up in Surprise. That's a 1:05 start. Patrick Corbin and Chris Young. Saturday is here against Kansas City. We'll have that game for you on Fox Sports Arizona. That's a TV game. Supposed to have great weather for the next week or so come on out. And take advantage of this amazing facility. Spectacular views here. Check out the berm in the outfield. Go upstairs above us and watch the game from the Pepsi porch. Get some great views of the valley from up there.
I like your suggestion earlier. If you have the time to come out early and check out the practice fields before the game, so much to see and so much to do here that normally aren't part of your day at the ballpark when you come out to a spring training game. So yeah, come on out, check it out.
Yeah, you can walk in the back fields, watch them take batting practice, run the drills for 2 hours, then stay for the game. Spend the whole day out here. Right there's the Diamondback headquarters in the middle of your screen right there. Behind that building is where all the workout fields are. There's, oh gosh, there's about 8 or 9 of them back there. And that's just the Diamondback side. The Rockies have the other side. But that's where all the workout fields are, the practice fields. Rivero at first. Well, what else is new? Andrew Chafin, a nice, easy 1-2-3-7. We stretch in Scottsdale. D-backs 7, Padres 1. Zack Greinke, his second Cactus League start this spring. And steady, if not spectacular. 4 hits, all singles. Got a lot of ground ball outs. No walks, no strikeouts for Zach. The offense got it going in the 5th. A 5-run 5th. Brandon Drury's 2-run homer was the highlight. D-backs would add 2 more in the 6th. Chris Owings, an RBI single. Part of that 5th inning. And those are your Cox Kick Life high-speed highlights. 7-1 Diamondbacks as we start the home half of the 7th here at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. And some changes for the Padres. New pitcher Tyron Guerrero on the mound. Battery, in fact. Austin Hedges is behind the plate. And we have some other changes to pass along for Andy Green.
A phrase you hear quite often in the grapefruit and cactus leagues this time of year. Multiple changes defensively.
There's Andy. Here's Domingo Leyba. He'll lead off the Diamondbacks 7th. Leyba's a guy they got along with Robbie Ray in that 3-team Didi Gregorius deal a couple of years ago. His numbers last year, 237, 2 homers. And this is a guy with a very good reputation as a young hitter up there. Loses the bat. Looks like he might have tweaked his left wrist a bit.
Immediately looked down at that left wrist, undid the batting glove on that hand, flexing the wrist.
Ryan DePanfilo is going to come out and have a look, but Domingo says he's okay. Going to get Ryan some camera time here this spring. His wife will appreciate that. I'm told that facial hair is unapproved.
Really?
Yeah. One and one on Leyba. Center field, Travis Jankowski's out there. And he chases that one down for out number 1. There's Jankowski, who we talked about a moment ago. Leyba still sort of protecting that wrist. Mark Thomas, the catcher now. He's telling Chip he's okay. So Leyba flies out. Here's Thomas. Tuffy Gozawish is on deck. He'll hit for the DH, Chris Herman. Mark Thomas, last year, Double-A Mobile. 174 and 5 homers.
Still looking for his first hit this spring. However, he's shown a real good eye at the plate. 7 plate appearances. He's drawn 3 walks. Getting a good look at him.
One is in there, first strike. Red Wallace is the first baseman now for the Padres. Former Giant Nick Noonan is at second. Hedges behind the plate. Jankowski in center. Ball, strike 3. The strikeout for Guerrero. 2 down. And Tuffy will take the at bat for Chris Herman. Tuffy Gozawish 1 for 5 with a double in spring training so far. Last year played fewer than 40 games after that torn ACL near the end of May. Hit .211 with 1 homer. There's the strike on 1.
And Tuffy, like a lot of other players, really to be commended, coming back from an injury. I mean, we just say, yeah, he's rehabbing from a knee or he's rehabbing from an elbow. The work that goes into getting back to near as 100% as you'll ever be is unbelievable. And what Tuffy has gone through, guys like Matt Williams, anybody that's played this game and suffered any kind of an injury, and we so casually say, well, he spent last year rehabbing an injury. Yeah. It's not a vacation. You work harder rehabbing injuries than you ever do playing this game. So a big tip of the cap to Tuffy and all the guys who are back in camp this spring after suffering injuries.
Talk about insult to injury. Of course, Matt Williams came back. Tuffy wore number 9 last year. Matt's got it now. And he's a legend after all. So Tuffy had to go to number 8. And I said to Tuffy, well, did you get anything? He said, well, he started out asking for a watch. By the end, Matt Williams had him down to a grilled cheese sandwich. I said, that's shrewd negotiating. He said, yeah, what do you want from me? You don't haggle with Matt Williams. No. He's a legend. He's got his number. So he said he picked 8 for Yogi Berra.
There you go.
When he was told he could no longer wear number 9.
Kid Carter, Gary Carter wore number 8.
One of the several number changes we've seen here this spring. Jake Lamb went from 19 to 22. Jake wanted to honor a friend of his growing up who had passed away, who wore number 2 as a kid. So Jake now wears 22. Socrates Brito is number 30. And everybody looks different in these new uniforms. Tuffy hanging in on 0-2. Guerrero gets 2 strikeouts in the inning, and he keeps it a 7-1 ball game. We'll head to the 8th in Scottsdale. Training on Fox Sports Arizona is presented in part by Ram Trucks. Right now, get a great deal during Ram Truck Month. I just saw my neighbors down there.
What's that?
It's a neighborhood atmosphere here at the ballpark. Big hello to Gene and Robin down there. We're at Salt River Fields talking stick in Scottsdale. Diamondbacks head to the 8th inning, leading the Padres 7-1. Andrew Chafin back out there.
Yeah, they were looking up here at the booth waving, so I waved, and they kind of, no, not you. Get the guy beside you.
What have you ever done here?
I'm just glad to help, partner.
I appreciate the assist. That's a fair ball down the right field line. Danny Margot, one of the top prospects in their system now. A leadoff double here in the 8th. This guy they got from Boston in the Craig Kimbrell deal, and he is opening a lot of eyes. A very exciting young player with great speed.
A little tardy on the swing, but produced a good result that time. Hard ground ball right down at first baseline.
They are thrilled for that young man. There's another guy that's a very interesting guy they have in their system. It's Jabari Blash from the Virgin Islands. He's a Rule 5 pick. A big dude up there with tremendous power. 6'5", 225, Jabari Blash. A Rule 5 pick by the A's in December after he was left exposed from Seattle. The A's then sent him here to the Padres. He was the player to be named in the Yonder Alonso deal. So, as we know from Oscar Hernandez last year, as a Rule 5 pick, Blash has to be on their roster or be returned. And with his kind of raw tools, and they are still raw. I didn't play a lot of baseball in the Virgin Islands. He's a guy you want to keep because he might be able to do some things here. Last year, AA Jackson and AAA Tacoma, he hit .271 with 32 home runs. And as Andy Green was saying, when Blash runs into a baseball, it's a lot of damage. Light tower power here.
Solid base, thick, strong legs, smaller upper body. And you can see how he can generate some extreme power when he gets a hold of one. Mark Loretta sitting beside Andy Green over there on the first base side.
So these are some of the young guys now that A.J. Preller's trying to go with. That goes behind Thomas. And it's ball 4, so Margot moves up. Trying to inject some youth into their system, and they have a lot of talented kids, especially after that Kimbrel deal that netted them 4 young players from the Red Sox system. So a mixture of experience and youth for Andy Green in his first year in San Diego. Keith Hessler warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. There's Keith, the big left-hander. Brett Wallace now. This guy became a real weapon off their bench last season. 302 and 5 homers. About Jabari Blash, he was, as we said, from the Virgin Islands. He really didn't care about baseball. He said he just liked to hang out down on the beach.
Can you blame him?
But his mom got, all right, enough of this. You're going to baseball practice. They started a clinic down there, a camp, and Mom literally would make him go. He didn't want to go, but he would pretend to leave his equipment at home. Mom figured that out, kept it in the car. You're going.
Can't fool Mom.
But eventually he just blossomed into this big kid with great power. And he was admittedly lazy as a player when he was younger, but he quickly figured out, you know, I could do something with baseball here. He went to Miami-Dade College, wound up an 8th round pick by the Mariners 6 years ago. Now here he is as a Padre. So that's a very interesting story. You don't see too many players from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
They're all hanging out down at the beach.
Exactly.
Throwing frisbees and playing volleyball.
But that's a great example of how, if you start a youth baseball program, and baseball is so involved with this all over our country, but if you start a youth program, even in a place you think nobody will care about baseball, sooner or later you produce a kid like Jabari Blash. And they find their way to the game, which is what you're hoping for. Oh, 0-2 on Wallace. Wallace, the ASU Sun Devil. He was a big weapon off the bench against right-hand pitching last year. Hit .304 versus righties, including all 5 of his home runs. But down 0-2 here against the lefty Chafin. Misses away, a ball and 2 strikes. Talk about pinch hitting and what a hard job that is. Brett Wallace really did a good job in that role last year. 50 plate appearances as a pinch hitter for the Padres. And he hit .349 with 4 home runs. Hard to do better than that. And he dunks that one into right field. Argo will score. Blosh is on his way to third, and it's 7-2.
Well, what makes that pinch hitting duty even tougher for a guy like Brett Wallace, being a left-handed hitter? A lot of times late in the ball game, that's a key at bat, and the opposing team's going to bring in their best left-handed reliever to face him. Now, he was taken down in favor of a right-handed hitter from time to time, but gets an at bat here against Andrew Chafin. I'm sure something that'll come back to help him at some point during the season.
Well, Chafin worked a quick 1-2-3 7th with a strikeout, but the first 3 have reached here in the 8th. A run is in now, 7-2. Alex Dickerson. Eight at bats and 11 career big league games all last year. That one hit him and the bases are loaded. So make it the first 4 have reached against Chafin in the 8th inning. And that's enough for Chip Hale. So we have a pitching change. Keith Hessler coming in. We take a break. 7-2 Diamondbacks. Backs lead the Padres 7-2. Tomorrow, the D-backs head to Tempe to take on the Angels. And you can see the ball game right here. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock. Presented by Ram Trucks on Fox Sports Arizona. Well, Keith Hessler, the left-hander, inherits a mess. Base is loaded, nobody out. Hessler 18 games for the Diamondbacks last year, an ERA over 8.
His numbers last season. Keith Hessler, 2 appearances so far this spring. 1 against the U of A, won an inning in that ball game, gave up a hit, 0s otherwise. Also pitched an inning against the Cubs. Got a hold in both of his appearances.
Lash is the runner at third. Wallace at second. Dickerson at first. A run in, still no outs, and here is Travis Jankowski, the center fielder. 90 at bats with the Padres. Last year, his first look at the big leagues. 2-11 and 2 home runs. And there's ball 1. Jankowski, first round pick by the Padres in the draft 4 years ago. He played at Stony Brook. An excellent base runner and defender. They're waiting for the bat to catch up. There's a strike, 1-1. Jankowski had a nice season in the minors last year. Was mostly at AA San Antonio in the Texas League. Hit .316 there. Played a handful of games with AAA El Paso and hit .392. He was up in the big leagues by the middle of August, but did not put up similar offensive numbers. Two and one. Driven to center. Evan Marzilli on the run. He'll have to play it off the wall. One run will come in. The runners had to hold up, but it's 7-3. Jankowski blasted that one deep to center field.
Long single for Jankowski that time. Got a pitch up and out over the plate. Stayed right on it. Made a good sound coming off his bat. Fortunately for the Diamondbacks, Evan Marzilli played it perfectly on the carom off that center field wall. Runner's only able to advance 90 feet.
Wallace at third now. Dickerson is the runner at second. Jankowski very good speed at first. Jose Rondon. Played most of last year in the Cal League. That's Class A ball at Lake Elsinore. That's in the seats and out of play.
Mark Thomas with a quick visit to the mound here to Keith Hessler. Got lucky that time. A backhanded block of a pitch in the dirt. Might have been crossed up by the way he reacted initially right away going out to the mound.
Sam LeCure, the veteran right-hander, has been warming up at the D-backs bullpen. He looks like he's ready down there. There's Sam, former Cincinnati Red.
Sam's one of those guys that doesn't take long to get loose. Shake hands with the bullpen catcher. He's ready to go.
1-1. Correction, 2 balls and a strike. That's in the seats, and it's 2-2.
Let's go.
Keith Hessler, a 28th round pick by the Diamondbacks out of Coastal Carolina. He's at Chanticleer. '26-year-old left-hander. On the ground to Arias at third. Leyba turns it. Wallace comes in, and the Padres chip away.
Nicely done. Diamondbacks playing back, trying to avoid a huge inning right here and get that hard ground ball right to third. That's exactly what you want to do. Go ahead and turn the double play up the middle of the field. Arias may have had a play at the plate to get the force out, but then you still have the bases loaded with only 2 outs in the inning. Rather 1 out in the inning. This way you've got 2 outs. Chance to get out of it here with a fly ball or a ground ball to the infield.
Former Giant Nick Noonan. With Dickerson at third and 2 down. Each team now with 10 hits. It's a 7-5 ball game. Noonan, former first-round pick by San Fran back in 2007. Mike Butcher wants a word now with Keith Hessler. Sam LeCure just standing down there like he's waiting for a bus. Let Hessler try and get out of this. He inherited a bases loaded, no out mess.
Veteran relief pitchers, they don't waste a lot of bullets. They'll get to a point where they know with 8 more warm-up pitches on the game mound, they'll be ready to go. And once you get to that point, there's no sense standing down there firing away. You're ready to go. Just wait and see what the pitching coach and the manager want from you.
They put an extra run up on the board. It is 7-4. Scoreboard here says 7-5. So that's good news.
That's good news.
Yeah, that's incorrect right there.
Rare are the occasions when our math is better than the scoreboard.
Yeah, never, in fact. 1-2 on Nick Noonan. So the Padres won in the 4th and make it 3 here in the 8th. Noonan just 2 for 22 with the Giants in his only big league action last year. A San Diego native signed with the Padres this spring. Noonan growing up was a season ticket holder to the Padres. He said they went when he was a kid. They went to Jack Murphy and then they went to Qualcomm. And he even remembers the first season at Petco Park, which was back in 04. Grew up a big Steve Finley and Ken Caminiti fan. Lifted in the air out to O'Brien. Peters under it. And that's the getting. The Padres get 3. Bottom 8 coming up. 7-4 Diamondbacks.
Looking for
lead as we head to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Arizona Diamondbacks spring training baseball is live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay connected all spring with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
New pitcher for the Padres as we start the bottom of the 8th inning. Blake Smith, the right-hander's out there. There you go. Use the app. Check the scores.
Right on time. How about that?
Just make sure that if you're sitting down close, you're watching the game. You're paying attention. Jack Reinheimer leads it off, the D-back shortstop. Reinheimer's seen a pretty fair amount of playing time this spring. This is his 8th game already. He's got 4 hits, including a home run here Sunday against the Cubs. 23-year-old shortstop prospect acquired in the Mark Trumbo deal last year. Bornstein on deck. Peter O'Brien after that. 1-2. There you go. You were just talking about great spot to find a baseball. There it is.
Somehow Big Brother ended up with the ball. I think the young lady did all the work, and then Big Brother just stepped in and said, I'll take that.
It's kind of the way it is in life, isn't it?
She seems okay with it.
Two and two. She had the moment. That's what matters.
That's all that matters.
Reinheimer laces one into left center. Jankowski with that speed able to cut it off. Jack Reinheimer continues to swing a pretty impressive bat. There's a double to lead off the eighth.
Really struck well up the middle of the field. Fastball just below the belt, out over the plate, just whistles it by Rondon at shortstop into left center field, and easily in on his belly with a double.
Diamondback fans got to see a fair amount of Jack Reinheimer in the fall league here, playing for the Salt River Rafters. At the end of a long season, he's looked good so far this spring. Here's Zach Bornstein, singled and scored in his first at bat. Zach, a pair of extra base hits this spring. 3 for 13 to open up with 6 strikeouts. And he is, as we mentioned Sunday in that game against the Cubs, he has got some serious guns. This is not a guy you want to arm wrestle.
Bornstein and Drury would have an infinity tie in arm wrestling, those two guys.
Zach, most of last year with Double-A Mobile. 85 games with the Bay Bears in the Southern League, which is not a good league for hitters. Some big ballparks, some heavy humid air down there. But he hit .314 with 10 home runs. Look out. Bangs it right back up the box. Matt Williams waves in Reinheimer. Bornstein, the RBI single. It's 8-4 D-backs. That was smoked.
Well, the last 2 base hits, 2 of the hardest hit balls all day. Reinheimer with his double into the gap in left center field, and that single right back where it came from Bornstein. Oh, man, nice quick swing, quick finish. Really drove that ball back up the middle of the field.
He has really had some moments here this spring, especially on some of the backfields here where the Diamondbacks have run through some of their situational hitting drills. Getting the runner over from second to third base, getting him home with the infield in from third. Things like that. Bornstein has really had some good at-bats. Peter O'Brien. There's a strike going on. Peter, a home run yesterday against the Padres in Peoria. And you talk about a young man that can smash a baseball. This guy's got some serious power. Remember that home run he hit for the Diamondbacks last year? That final series of the season against the Houston Astros, he hit a home run off Dallas Keuchel, who went on to win the Cy Young, his first major league home run. Peter hit it 471 feet onto the concourse in left center. And it was on this field a couple of years ago that he won the Arizona Fall League Home Run Derby, the Bowman Hitting Challenge. That was when he was still with the Yankees. He's down 0-2. Called strike 3. You can hear Chip telling Mike McClinsky, the home plate umpire, it's a big boy up there, and that was a little low. Peter seemed to agree with his manager.
Sneaking a fastball in there on the 0-2 count. Most hitters at least subconsciously feel in an 0-2 count that the pitcher's going to waste a pitch. He's either going to knock me off the plate, going to try to bounce a breaking ball. I'm going to be sure I don't swing at a bad pitch here 0-2. And many times the guy just throws it right down the middle of the plate. That time O'Brien caught looking at a pitch that might have been a little bit low, but certainly close enough to the strike zone. With 2 strikes, you got to be ready to protect.
Joaquin Arias. Arias played in at least 100 games for the Giants. He won 2 World Series rings there during his first 3 seasons. But last year, the offense really tailed off. He hit .207, only 2 extra base hits, and he was designated for assignment by the Giants at the end of July. Signed a minor league deal with the Diamondbacks in December. 1-2 now. What a valuable utility guy for Bruce Bochy. Can play just about anywhere. Over 100 big league games at third, second base, shortstop. He played some first base as well. Rolls it into right. Ornstein stops at second. Joaquin Arias 2 for 2. There's Evan Marzilli. Last time up, Evan in his first at bat today. Blasted a triple to right center field. And it's good to see him healthy and running the bases after the ankle injury that really sort of wiped out his year last year. Listed in the air, left center field. Margot and Jankowski over there. Ornstein will hold up at second. And a chance for Carlos Rivero with 2 outs and 2 on.
There's never a good time of year to have a 1-pitch at bat, but especially in spring training. You want to see as many pitches as you can. You want to get your own strike zone narrowed down a little bit. You want to see everything that opposing pitcher has to throw. And 1 pitch, fly ball out, those really hurt in spring training.
Ornstein at second, Arias at first. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Carlos Rivero last year spent most of the season with the Mariners AAA team in Tacoma. Just under 100 games, hit .256 with 8 home runs. Finished the year in the Red Sox system playing at Pawtucket. Hedges hangs on. There's the strikeout. Diamondbacks tack on another run. They lead at 8-4. Diamondback spring training baseball presented by Ram Trucks. We head to the 9th. D-backs lead the Padres 8-4. They've out-hit San Diego 13-10. And on for the 9th inning. It's the veteran right-hander Sam LeCure. Former Cincinnati Red, parts of 6 seasons with the Reds. Only 19 appearances in the big leagues last year, a 3.15 ERA.
Third appearance here in the Cactus League. He has an inning against the Rockies, an inning against the Cubs. He's given up 1 hit, struck out a couple of batters, otherwise zeros across the board.
Austin Hedges will lead it off for the Padres in the 9th.
Okay.
We should point out, Bob, that we want to welcome a couple of new members to the family here, the TV family with the Diamondbacks. Our new producer, Brad Weimer. Brad is here from Milwaukee. As Hedges skies that one. Here, the second base bag for Leba. So we're very happy to have a new producer here with Brad Weimer, who Brian Anderson sent me a text. I think it was at the movies, actually. And a BA texted me, said, hey, you're going to like Brad Weimer. He's a good one. So we want to welcome the big dog.
The big dog.
Brad Weimer, big dog, who will be manning the controls in the truck all year long. And Scott Garifone did another great job directing today.
Yep. Glad to have them both on board. Don't forget how you did it.
Big dog. I'm told he hates that nickname, by the way.
Well, that's all we need to know.
But I do have a photograph. Somebody sent me a photograph. One of our moderately reliable staff members sent me a photograph of Brad in a Brewers shirt with the big dog on the back where the name is. So I guess that's official.
And once it's printed on the back of an official Major League Baseball jersey, that's your nickname. You can't shake that one.
So you're going to have to wear that. Big dog. Ryan Schimpf, the third baseman. Sam LeCure is an interesting guy when you're talking about that 12th pitcher spot, the bullpen spot. Yeah, this guy, 31 years old, he'll be 32 in May. He knows how to get her done.
You can turn the radar gun off when Sam LeCure comes into the game. He's all about movement and location. Fastball sits in the mid, occasionally upper 80s.
As I say that, he walks him on 4 pitches. This is a guy who was a fixture in the Reds bullpen, more than 60 appearances for Cincinnati, both in 2013 and 14. Did not make the Reds club coming out of camp last year and spent much of the season at AAA Louisville. And will Margot, one of the hot young prospects, get another look at him. He doubled and scored his last time up. This is a name you're going to need to learn because they are thrilled with what they've seen from this young man. Andy Green says there's a lot to like. He has wowed them in spring training. Just 21 years old. And is now, after the trade from Boston, the top prospect in San Diego's system. He's kind of a baby-faced kid. In fact, they nicknamed him El Baby. Because he's got a little bit of a baby face there. The beard sort of distracts that. I think he's trying to get off that nickname, so he's growing out the facial here. But this is a guy that Andy Green has watched and says, you know, he moves at a different rate than everybody else on the diamond. And the guy that Andy thought Margot reminded him of was a young Jose Reyes. Just plays with that high energy level all the time. On the ground, Reinheimer, Leba, they roll the double play, and that's the ball game. Diamondbacks beat the Padres 8-4. So sudden Sam LeCure shuts the door on a D-backs win. And handshakes all around for Chip Hale. Bob, a little bit of everything to like here. We started with Zach Greinke. We got some offense and a good job in the back end by the bullpen.
Yeah, and Andrew Chafin being extended a little farther than perhaps he was ready for today. Ran into a little bit of a speed bump there in the 8th inning, but a real good showing by the offense today. The defense came up with some big plays when they needed it, and of course, Zach Greinke continues to fine-tune that right arm.
So the D-backs get the win here. They improve to 5-3-1 in Cactus League play. They are in Tempe tomorrow to play the Angels. We will have the Angels coverage of that game for you on Fox Sports Arizona. It's a 1:05 start. We're in Surprise Friday, back on TV, D-back style Saturday here against the Royals in a 1:10 start. For Brad Weimer, Jody Jackson, my partner Bob Brenly, I'm Steve Berthune. Thanks for watching Diamondbacks baseball. Up next is Cactus League Weekly on Fox Sports Arizona.